Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for being part of the first Forbes School of Business and Technology Colloquium of the 2020 Colloquia series, Being Service-Minded in Academic Settings. I would like to welcome our presenter, Dr. William Woods, Lead Faculty of the Forbes Master of Arts Program of Organizational Management, and a recipient of both the President and Provost Service Awards, as well as the Ashford 10-Year Service Award. Please keep your mics muted during the presentation. You may post questions in the chat, and I will use them to facilitate a Q&A session with Dr. Woods at the end of the webinar. Also, please keep an eye on the chat toward the end of the presentation for a link to an important follow-up survey, as we appreciate your feedback. And now I'll turn it over to Dr. Woods.
Thank you, Stephanie. You're so kind, and thank you for that introduction. Hey, everybody. I want to thank you for being here today. It's great to have you here, and I hope that I can share with you some good information that will actually improve your job performance as you work with us and wherever you work. So in thinking about this, everywhere you go, someone wants something of you. Sometimes the only thing they want from you is for you to get out of their way so they can get to where they're going. But other times they need much more. And, you know, like earlier this week, I was at Walmart and I was in the checkout line and I bought extra things so I could stock up a little bit. And the lady in front of me didn't have one of those extra things, and she saw what was in my cart and her eyes were just bugging. And she's, where did you get that? And I told her, and then I told her, they're all out of them though. And so what I did was I reached in my cart and I got the goods that she needed. I said, since I have extra, I'm going to give some to you. And, you know, from my years in sales and also my years working for other types of businesses, I knew that service is one of the things that leads to success in life. Service actually builds relationships. Service makes life better for everyone. And, you know, in my 22 years of teaching in higher education for 3 different universities, there's one thing that I've concentrated on, and I want to share that with you today, and that's about being service-minded in academic settings. So when you think about being service-minded, quite often you might think about, okay, service projects that you do out in the community, trying to help people at homeless shelters or trying to cut other people's grass, like for senior citizens or something of that sort. And if you're really good at what you do, you may even win awards, like you see the ladies down in the left-hand corner of your screen there. And, you know, sometimes you might do fundraisers like these Ashford students that are in this picture here. I mean, they raised over $4,000 to give to the Victory Center in Clanton, Iowa. But that's not really the type of service that I want to talk about today. And what I want to do is to segue into the Ashford University mission statement and tie that into being service-minded, so that you can see that, like, whenever we come up with a strategy here at Ashford University or at any university, those strategies ought to be somehow based upon the mission of the university. So here with this mission statement, it says the mission of Ashford University is to provide. And I want to just stop for a second on those 2 words, to provide. And then we go on to high quality, accessible, affordable, innovative educational programs that meet the diverse needs of individuals. So now we're thinking about providing for the needs of individuals who are pursuing advancement in their lives, professions, and communities. And see, when you think about providing, that's where you're starting to get into being service-minded. And whenever you're being service-minded, of course, you're going to be targeting the needs of individuals who actually could benefit from your help. Sometimes they don't even know that they need help. And sometimes, even though they know they need help, they may be shy about coming forward, about asking for help. But when we are being perceptive of what's happening to people around us, whether it be in a traditional setting in brick or mortar, or if it's in an online setting, so when we are following some of the discussions that are in the course room or emails that we're getting, we should be able to sense the needs. You know, that's something that's akin to emotional intelligence. You're in touch with your own emotions, but also you're in touch with the emotions of other people around you. And when you're able to sense those things according to what they say and how they act, then you're starting to get into what I call being service-minded. So I want to give you the definition of service-minded. A person with a great service-minded attitude, and attitude is the thing that you must focus on. It's someone who naturally likes to find solutions to problems and to generally help people in any way that they can. Now, here's the thing about that. We can always help nice people. But are you good at helping people that test your patience? Are you good at helping people that sometimes are derisive and possibly even mean-spirited, just angry at life or whatever? Are you able to forget about yourself long enough so that you can think about how you can make this person's life a little bit better for that moment that they're with you? And I can tell you, if you can do that with being a service-minded person with a service-minded attitude, then you're well on the way of possibly even establishing more than a one-time relationship with that person, and to be able to affect their life even more in the future. And I will tell you this from experience. When you are helping other people, you are actually helping yourself, because being able to help other people actually changes you inside, because you go from being self-centered to other-centered. Now, one of the things we know in higher education is there's always stories. And when I talk about stories, we have stories about coworkers, we have stories about leaders, and we have stories about students. And every time one of those stories starts to build, it's because of our interactions with them. Now think about this. Sometimes we prejudge people. And when we prejudge people, that's probably one of the things that's going to hurt your ability to be service-minded, to have that proper attitude. But if we can do this thing about suspending judgment, then we start to become service-minded with students in academic settings and with other employees in academic settings. And that's a wonderful thing. So check this out. This is Friedman. Friedman says, problems arise throughout the workday for everyone with disruptions that we hadn't planned. And as my mother used to tell me, it's not the problem, it's how you handle it. Now, I got to tell you, if you look at the things that you are confronted with every day, whether it be a barrage of emails, a barrage of phone calls, or in the course room, students posting things where they need your help, want your help, maybe even demanding your help, and you're like, oh man, do I have time to take care of this right now? Because, hey, as organizational members, we wear many hats and work on different projects. And sometimes we get into time crunches. And a lot of times we're working 8, 10, or even more hours than 10 hours in a day trying to get everything done so that we can accomplish our tasks, so that we can do the things that we were hired to do. And then all of a sudden, we get that one email. That email is asking us something that is like, man, how long is this going to take for me to be able to take care of this person? And how long will it be before I can get back to what I need to get done so I can meet my deadlines? Well, if you ask yourself those questions when those disruptions occur, that might be one of the things that will hurt you so far as having a service-minded attitude, because those kind of things actually distract you. And what we need to do is do like Friedman's mother said to her. It's not the problem, it's how you handle it. We already know problems are going to come. They're going to arise. And, you know, maybe we need to think about problems in a different way. So helping others, and that's what we're getting on in our focus. And with helping others, what we're actually doing is creating relationships. And if we do right in creating those relationships, you know, I have a belief that when we're good with one person, we get to be even better with the next person. And sometimes those people will say things about you and you didn't even realize how good you were being to them. But they remember two things. They remember things that they don't like, and they remember things that they do like. And it's great when you have that chance to affect their lives in a way that they remember you. So one of the things I like to do when I answer the phone, if you call my office phone, I will say, thank you for calling Ashford University. This call may be recorded for quality assurance purposes. This is Dr. Woods. How may I help you? And see, the operative phrase is, how can I help you, or how may I help you? And it's, how can I help the student, or how can I help this fellow employee? And see, one of the things that it does, especially if the employee is a little on edge or the student is a little on edge, when they hear you say, how can I help you? And you sound genuine with saying that, it takes a little of the edge off of the conversation that's getting ready to ensue. So think about that. How can I help you? How can I help the department member help our students? And see, a lot of times when it comes to helping students, professors are teamed up with advisors. And we'll contact the advisors, or the advisors will contact us, and they'll tell us what their needs are and give us a little background so that we can be a little bit more familiar with the situation, so that we can be flexible in the moment. So a lot of times we're not in this alone. And when you think about the student having a good experience with you, or the department member having a good experience with you, you're probably setting it up so that they will also have a good experience with other people that they are either teaching or working with or being taught by. You see, we're all in this together. So I want to read a quote by Fine to you. Service-minded people get up every day looking forward to helping people and finding solutions to the day's problems. Now think about it. Did you wake up this morning thinking, I'm going to have problems today, so what? I'm going to have problems today. I think I'm ready for this. I think I got this. I think I'm more than able. And see, every day you're getting more and more experience with problems. You're getting more and more experience with the things that you weren't expecting, so that if you ever see it again, you are a little bit more comfortable with being able to take care of those type of situations. And matter of fact, sometimes fellow employees will call you and say, how did you handle that? And so they're looking for you for advice, and you're able to share that with them, and you may be able to save them time at that point. They get better success in what they do in their positions, and that's better success for you also. Well, being service-minded when interacting with students can enable faculty to take the relationship with students to a more meaningful level that empowers student success. Now think about it. Over the years, over the last 22 years, I've told stories about students. Other faculty members have told stories about students to me. Other department members over the last 22 years have told me stories about students. And sometimes it's faculty members talking about faculty members, and faculty members talking about department members, and vice versa. And see, those are the kind of things that can actually bias one person against another person. And so it's really not all that helpful. But in order to be helpful, you have to each and every day suspend judgment on each and every situation. Now, I'm going to tell you, that can be very, very hard to do, because some things we don't want to deal with. Some people, we can see them coming, and we're like, well, I think I'll turn around and walk the other way. I've actually done that before. And so sometimes I'm operating off of those biases, and I have to work hard to shut those things down so I can do the things that I ought to do, so that I can help other people and remain with a service-minded attitude. So when you think about that, and sometimes the students, they're not expecting you to always have the best solution. But one of the things that I've determined over my last 22 years is that if you're willing to listen, and the student knows that you're listening and that you're willing to understand, you can actually tell them that, hey, I'm going to work on this. I don't know what the outcomes are going to be. I'm going to do the best that I can. I'm going to stay in contact with you, and I'm going to keep you updated, and maybe we can work something out. I've never had anybody get upset with me when I've said that kind of thing to them. I told you a story about me being in Walmart. Another time when I was in Walmart, there's this lady actually cussing out her kids. And I ended up in line with her. And she was still upset with those little kids, and they were in this shopping cart and everything. And I whispered to her, I said, I just want you to have a good day. And she's, what's it to you? I said, well, I just want to buy your groceries for you today. And she looked at me, she says, "Are you serious?" I said, "Sure, I think you deserve to have your groceries purchased for you." You know, her husband came up in line behind me and he looked at me and looked at her and said, "What does he want?" And she said, "He wants to buy our groceries." And he stuck his hand out and shook my hand and got a big smile on his face. And he said, "Thank you." And she said, "Thank you." And the kids were being good. And so you never know what that opportunity is going to be where you can actually use that service-minded attitude to change somebody's life just for a moment. Well, here's what I want to do. I got too many things on my screen all of a sudden. Well, developing your service-minded mentality. How fast can you, this is a question that Friedman asked, how fast can you pop back into a good mood when something has disrupted your schedule? That's the critical question. Because again, we're always mindful of our schedules. We're always trying to do a whole lot, and we're always trying to make everything successful. So how fast can you pop back into a good mood when something has disrupted your schedule? Or do you pout and fret and linger and wallow in it? See, that's another big question. The ability to bounce back from any adversity is an important service mentality. And see, that's one of the things that I want you to truly remember. You need to be able to bounce back. If you can isolate each and every situation and don't connect them all, then whether it's a tough situation or an easy situation, then you're able to deal with each and every situation separately and fairly. Well, here's what I want to do. I want to reframe the problem. So let's reframe the problem or adversity so that we look at it as another opportunity to help someone. Now, if you can do that, you're building your own reputation. You're building the reputation of the school that you're working for. You're building the reputation of the department that you're working in. And see, each one of us makes the other one look better by the way that we serve the people who are around us. Well-served students do one thing. They tell their friends about Ashford University. And I'm going to play this video. This is from the 1980s, Faberge shampoo. And I just love this video. So here it comes.
I told 2 friends about Faberge organic shampoo with pure wheat germ oil and honey, and they told 2 friends, and so on. Hey, that's not Faberge organic shampoo. It isn't? It's an imitator. They're not all the same, so be sure it's Faberge.
For super body, super shine, and super fresh smelling hair, get the one and only Faberge organic shampoo.
You'll tell 2 friends, and they'll tell 2 friends. Now you got it. And so on, and so on, and so on.
Faberge organic shampoo and conditioner with pure wheat germ oil and honey.
So let's join together and cause people to talk about us according to how we serve them. Thank you for being here with me today. And if you have any questions for me, I'm ready for those at this point.
There was a question in the chat. I appreciate the notion of trying not to prejudge people and students. How do you handle working with a student when they make a request from you, like an extension on an assignment, but you sense that the student is not being truthful in their justification for their requests? How do you deal with students that you suspect are not sincere in their interactions with you?
Okay, this is going to be a different answer. I hope you're ready for it. I used to, when I lived in San Diego, California, I walked into a liquor store to buy some beer. And a guy outside, he asked me would I buy him food. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll buy you food. And I bought him food. And when I brought it back out to him, he cussed me out. And he says, "You fool, I didn't need food. I needed booze." I said, "Well, you didn't ask for booze." And that taught me something. If you can give, give, and don't worry about it. If they're lying to you, they're lying to you. But if you can give, give. You may be affecting the student at that point to learn that, there's good people in the world, and I need to follow their model of behavior instead of doing what I always do. And, one of the things that I tell students in the course room, I said, okay, you got a grace period. And what do you mean a grace period? Well, you were late on this first assignment, and these are the things that you told me about it. And I said, I'm willing to accept that. but I do this once in every class for each student who needs it. So this is your grace period. And they're thankful for that. I've never had a student complain about that. And I also tell students how much I believe in them and how much that I'm really invested in their success. And I keep on reasserting or reaffirming that they can do this and that they can overcome the adversity, that they're made for this, and this is going to make them a better employee. So that's my approach.
Hi, everyone. This is Teresa. I had just now posted in the chat, so Steph, I'm sure you didn't see it, but I wonder if just brainstorming the common issues or behaviors that tend to make us as staff and faculty linger or fret or feel angry up front, and brainstorming ways that we might approach them will help us, temper our reactions on a positive end when they do actually happen. Does anyone want to share? I see some people sharing things that they've gone through, but if anyone wants to brainstorm that might be useful.
And everybody, please on mic for that who would like to talk. That'd be great. One of the things that we face sometimes as faculty members is sometimes the student will have an excuse and then another excuse and then another excuse, and things just keep happening in that student's life. And I've actually had that happen recently. And now we have the coronavirus outbreak across the nation. And, I did ask myself, how many students are going to have problems in their personal lives, their family members, or even themselves in dealing with all of this? And again, I decided I'm not going to ask myself, are they telling me the truth? I'm just going to go ahead and serve them the best that I can in this situation.
There's a lot of things in the chat, William. I don't know if you can see, but someone said, my favorite tool is to use help me to understand why X happened. Another is using Civitas to reach out to the students weekly. Another says, generally giving me background info and we both get a better understanding. Things like that.
Yeah, those are all good. Those are all good. And that's what's neat about being able to team up with other department members, team up with other professors, and get a little background on the student so that you can more understand them and then come up with a solution to their situation. And again, that's where I'm not going to use the word their problem, because their problem is our opportunity. And so with that being the case, then once the student a lot of times understands that you understand them, they're able to be a little bit more open with you, and then they're able to listen a little bit more. Dr. R. Dolino, I hope I said that right. She said, I had a student who was behind the entire course. My son had ADD and experienced that problem his entire life. I allow students to submit their work through the end of the course. And kudos to you. Sometimes that can be really hard to do. And, I take it on a student by student basis, because one of the things you have to ask yourself, what am I teaching the student so that they can actually do better in life? Because, some of the things that they're developing, the behaviors that they're developing in the course, they're actually able to, when we move them to a higher level, they're actually able to take that back in their careers and use that. And so, again, if you have room to help them, to nudge them, that's when you're thinking about Civitas, if you can nudge them in the right direction, then maybe they're able to do better. And I actually had a student like that recently. He says, I thought we could turn our stuff in late all the time. I did that in my other classes. And I just told him, hey, you know what? I believe in you. And I know from your training, because I knew what his occupation was. I said, I know from your training that they are zealous about being on time. And so I already know that you can do this. I know that you can push yourself. And I'm just going to see if that happens on the next thing. He actually sent me an email. He said, I'll be on time for the rest of the class. And I thought, wow, that guy is neat. And by the way, I was uncomfortable talking to him about that, but I thought I needed to try. Let's see, I don't have a mic. Thanks. The students who have failed had I not worked with them. He walked away with a B. He was brilliant, and when he did submit the work, it was worth the effort. And man, that's a great statement. So you're partnering with the students, and I can tell you what, sometimes we have students who suffer a little bit from low self-esteem, and as long as we stay with them, as long as we're investing in them, sometimes they move to a whole different level because they recognize that you believe in them, even though possibly other people didn't believe in them. And so when they run across more and more employees like that here at Ashford University, that's a fantastic thing, because then they're getting into repetitious behavior that they can believe in. So let's just remember that we're all in this together, and because we're all in this together, we have this fantastic opportunity to make it better for other people. And hopefully in the near future, man, they'll be doing what we're doing. Thanks for having me today, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Woods, and everyone for attending the March Colloquium. Please complete the follow-up survey, which has been posted in the chat. The survey will also be available with the recording of this presentation on the AU CETL YouTube channel, emailed directly to you, and found on the CETL website as well. Stay tuned to your email inboxes, the CETL website, and the CETL social media for details on the next quarter's colloquium coming at April 24th, featuring Dr. Rich Colgard, publisher of Forbes magazine. Stay healthy, everyone, and happy first day of spring.